Well, good evening, you beautiful New Zealanders. Today's video is a bit different because it's a very current issue and it's very serious. We're about to lose our beaches. You may not know about this. So what's in this video? I'm going to be explaining how we're about to lose all our beaches. I'm going to show how activist judges are helping Maori gain ownership of our coastline. I'm going to be showing how this situation came about in the first place. I'm going to be explaining how giving Maori ownership of the beaches is not in the treaty, how judges are appeasing Maori. I'm going to be showing how tikanga, that's Maori law, is increasingly being used to decide legal cases. And I'm urging you to email Paul Goldsmith and Shane Jones urgently, asking them to outlaw tikanga in our judicial system. So watch. So let's just first of all look at the treaty and our beaches. In the 1975 Treaty of Waitangi Act, the version of the treaty cited as the official treaty in English is what I call the rogue James Freeman version of the treaty. For short, it's the RJFV, so I'll use that from now on. I have put an explanation about how this version came into being and why it's rogue in the description of this video, so please read that because it's really important. Okay, what the RJFV says, it says this: Her Majesty the Queen of England confirms and guarantees to the chiefs and the tribes of New Zealand and to the respective families and individuals thereof the full, exclusive and undisturbed possession of their lands, estates, forests, fisheries and other properties which they may collectively or individually possess, so long it is their wish and desire to retain the same in their possession. So that's what the RJFV says. Alright, in 1975 Maori activists lobbied to have this English version of the treaty inserted into the Treaty of Waitangi Act, and they had a good reason to do that because they were going to be manipulating it and they were going to be fraudulently playing around with it to get what they wanted. So watch what happened. So the bona fide English version of the treaty says this: the genuine English version of the treaty, the one that matches the treaty in Maori perfectly, it says, Queen of England confirms and guarantees to the chiefs and the tribes and to all the people of New Zealand the possession of their lands, dwellings and all their property. Now notice there's no mention of fisheries. Why is this? Well, according to British law, the law imported into New Zealand by the British in 1840, the fisheries and the coastline belong to all the people of New Zealand. That's just a fact. Okay, enter Helen Clark and our fisheries and coastline. In 2004, Maori activists came knocking on the door of Helen Clark. They wanted what they called customary title to the foreshore and seabed. They said it was in the treaty. It was not in the treaty, which is the treaty in Maori. By the way, if you don't know that, if people say, what's the treaty? It's actually the treaty in Maori, and that's the one we should all be working from. Now you can see why the activists wanted the RJFV of the treaty in the 1975 Treaty of Waitangi. I want to say it again, foreshore and fisheries and forests are not in the treaty in Maori, nor in the genuine final English draft of the treaty. There you go. This is telling because the treaty in Maori is the Treaty of Waitangi, like I've said, not the RJFV. Helen Clark recognised this and she told Maori activists to get lost. She said rightly that the coastline belongs to all New Zealanders. She passed the Foreshore and Seabed Act in 2004, which reflected her judgment. Well done, Helen Clark, on this one. She did really well. But this is not where the matter ended. Activists play a long game. Activists waited for a change of government to have another crack at the seabed and foreshore. See, what we have to realise is that these Maori activists, they're in for the long haul. They've been going 50 years. And so they have time. They're being funded by our government. And so they've got money. They've got time. And this is what they do. And so anybody that makes a bill or an act or whatever, they got to realise that it's got to be really watertight because it's highly likely to be changed down the track by another government. So they needed some fools to enter Parliament, people who were history ignorant and treaty ignorant. That's what the Maori activists wanted, so they waited. Well, they came along, no problem. Chris Finlayson and John Key and Taniana Turia of the Maori Party in 2011. In 2011, these three triggered the Marine and Coastal Area Takutai Moana Act. So here they are, the three of them, the gruesome threesome. Honestly, Chris Finlayson was the absolute wrecking ball of New Zealand, that guy. And he was carrying a big chip on his shoulder about New Zealand, and he really wanted to just destroy this place. And John Key was too weak to see what was going on. And of course, Tariana Turia, she was just an activist, so you had a really toxic cocktail. Well, here are the two fools. Foolishly, Key and Finlayson, to hang on to power, did a deal with the Maori Party. In 2011, they amended Helen Clark's 2004 Foreshore and Seabed Act, like I've just said. They made it possible for Maori to have customary title to the seabed and foreshore. Customary means they could control the foreshore but not own it. To get this title, Maori tribes had to prove that, 1, they had been using a particular piece of the coastline since 1840, and 2, they'd been using this piece of coastline exclusively. The 2 criteria were continuity and exclusivity. So just remember those 2. These criteria set a very high bar. Very few tribes would qualify, so they thought, for customary title. They were so naive and foolish to not foresee what was coming. That's Finlayson and Key. Activist judges were everywhere. They relished the thought of manipulating this act to give the foreshore and seabed to Maori. So what did this act allow? Well, any tribe with customary title would have all the benefits of ownership except the right of resale. Number 2, in other words, tribal owners would control the coast. Number 3, they would have the right to deny public access to areas they claim are culturally sensitive. They could appoint wardens to police wahi tapu areas and issue trespass fines up to $5,000. Can you see what's happening here? It is absolutely disastrous. In other words, the Maori now are becoming the police. Can you see how the country is gradually, drip by drip, being taken over? Now, in my book, The Psychology of Takeover, I talk about a parable called The Camel in the Tent. And you've got to read that parable, because it actually explains one of the major strategies of Maori activists to take over our country. And so, please do that. Get hold of the book, read about the strategy, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But you can see that here, just with what you've got in front of you on the screen, that now Maori are able to issue fines of up to $5,000 to people walking on a beach that they consider to be wahi tapu. They could also charge commercial users of the coast, such as the local surf school, fishing charters, or even the organisers of sports events. So anybody using anything coastal could be charged by iwi for using that water. Well, what's going to happen? The price of everything's going to go up, and people won't be able to afford it. Businesses will go bust, and what's the net result of that? Will become the Zimbabwe of the South Pacific in no time. So carrying on with what the act allowed, nor is there anything to stop them leasing out the coast to third parties such as overseas mining interests. So they could allow mining interests to come into this country and then get all the income from that, to monetize the mineral deposits in their foreshore and seabed into a lucrative income stream, which is what Maori are about. Because let me tell you this, when you study Maori from 1800 through to 2024 and 25, what you see is that the big thing that attracts Maori is money, and they will do anything to get their hands on it, and that's the bottom line, truly. So carrying on with what the act allowed, yet more money spending opportunities will come from the right to veto resource consents in the area and control coastal planning. So if you want a resource consent in a coastal area, you'll have to get the permission of iwi, and of course that'll lead to backhanders and corruption, which is what happened with Meridian Energy in the South Island recently, where they had to pay out $180 million to iwi to get a resource consent to do what they were going to do. And what's the result of that? Well, the price of power went up. Have you noticed your power bill's gone up? See, it's already starting to happen. So if they get the foreshore and seabed, we are headed for Zimbabwe, I'm telling you. The law allowing all this was passed by the national government in the coalition with the Maori Party back in 2011. As I have said, they assured the public at the time that only claims for remote areas of the coast would succeed, which they estimated to be no more than 10% of the coastline. How foolish were they? Honestly, they were so naive. Activist judges had infiltrated the judiciary over the last 20 years, 30 years. Those judges have given Parliament the one finger. That's what's happened. They have said that the 2 criteria, which was exclusivity and continuity, they said they're too hard for Maori tribes to attain to, these judges. So what did they do? They just lowered the bar. How? Well, they are judging each claim, now 600 claims in number, by Maori law. What's another name for Maori law? It's called tikanga. So in other words, they can just take Maori stories, Maori anecdotes, Maori memories of their fishing on that coastline and accept them as fact. Can you believe this? As if this is not bad enough, each claimant can claim up to $458,000 of taxpayer money to file a claim. So this is costing us millions of dollars. What does this mean? We're literally paying for activist Maori to take over our foreshore. So we're literally paying for Maori groups to take over our coastline. Yep. It's hard to believe this was set up by Key and Finlayson, but it was. Now you can see why I call them fools. Really, What they did was unforgivable. So tikanga must be outlawed. Lawyers are making a fortune, all on the taxpayer teat. Maori are being gifted the foreshore and seabed, something never mandated in the treaty. I want you to know that this was never in the treaty. The treaty only mandates that Maori, like all other British citizens, can use and enjoy the beaches and foreshore. That was it. By overruling Parliament, activist judges are further destroying our democracy. This is a really serious constitutional issue that's brewing here in our country. So what can you do? Well, email Shane Jones and Paul Goldsmith demanding that tikanga be outlawed in our judicial system. So what to tell MPs? Tell them that you want the government to revert back to the 2004 Seabed and Foreshore Act, which made it clear that the beaches belong to all New Zealanders. For heaven's sake, it doesn't belong to Maori, it doesn't belong to anybody. It belongs to the Crown for the benefit of every single Kiwi. Come on. You can tell them you want tikanga outlawed in our judicial system. It must never be allowed to enter, because then there will be disaster in this country. I have put a sample letter in the description of this video, a template if you like, which you can copy and paste to MPs asking them to do what I have detailed in this video. Okay, that's enough for today's video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to keep getting our business cards out. They're really working. We've got a lot of people giving them out, but we need more people. You can get cards by emailing that address on your screen. They're only 3 cents each plus courier to get them to you. Don't forget also to get our latest book. Please get some of these booklets. They're 80 pages long. They'll be $3, not $2. The cost of printing has gone up and we can't make a loss. So if you want to truly understand what's going on in New Zealand, this booklet is the key, which will truly help you get it, if you know what I mean. Now, you can order this book by emailing the same email address as the other literature we have at cards@stopcogovernance.kiwi. Just email. Also, please don't forget this booklet. This was the original booklet that I did on my tour of New Zealand last year. We have a few thousand of our original Stop Co-Governance booklets left over from my tour of 2024. You'll remember we printed 550,000 of these, which got those booklets to about 1/3 of New Zealand. So there's still 2/3 who've never seen this book. Well, these are now free. So please, can you do this? All you need to do is pay for the courier to get them to you. And if you want to get those books, you can order this book by emailing the same email address, which is cards@stopcogovernance.kiwi. And as usual, please like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. It's so important to subscribe because it really pushes our ratings up on YouTube and we get more people watching. Because I tell you what, if we want to turn New Zealand around, we just got to get the information out to people. That's what it's about. It's about education. It's not about big public protests. It's about just changing the minds of Kiwis one at a time about what is going on and pulling the covers off all the activist activities. So thank you so much for chipping in financially. For those who've done that, this is a huge help. You're really helping us stay afloat. Also, don't forget, we've just produced this brochure on MACA, on the Marine and Coastal Act. We have produced a MACA brochure which you can pop in letterboxes in your street. We'd love everybody to get some of these, and they're also going to be free, so you can just send us your address, tell us how many you want, do 2 or 3 streets around your area. You know what, if we're going to turn this around, we all have to activate. Everybody has to become active. You can't just sit at home behind your computer just watching your screen and complaining. That's not good enough now, because we have to actually activate. We must alert the public to what's going on. All you need to do is pay for the courier to get them to you. You can order this booklet by emailing the same email address, cards@stopcogovernance.kiwi. As usual, please, as I said, like this video, comment on it, and subscribe and share it with your friends and neighbors. That's a massive help. That's a great way you can help. All right, thank you so much. See you next time. You guys are awesome.